What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Depth Podcast with Joey Alfieri and Simon Tsalikis. We're not in the studio for this Monday edition. This is, I think, going to be a regular occurrence, Tsalikis. I think it's going to be from the home bases on Mondays, and then we're back in the studio as of tomorrow. As of Tuesday through Friday, we'll be back in that beautiful studio. We're getting lots of compliments on the studio. The sound quality is good, and some people say it actually even makes us look good. So yeah, I'm going to finagle the camera a little bit. Just bear with me here.
Okay.
But yeah, we're a work in progress for the Mondays. I need a better background than this. I fully acknowledge. You see, like, I'm in my lobby. There's like some Christmas balls behind me. So like, I don't know how you feel about the Christmas, the festive season.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely getting. I think we're getting more compliments for the studio than we are for the actual podcast. But it's okay. We take them whenever we can get them.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Look, we had a busy weekend. I mean, the Canadiens made some news on Friday. They played early games on Friday and Saturday, played 3 games in 4 nights. We'll get into the entire road trip. Obviously, it ended a little in difficult fashion against a really, really good Colorado team who just saw their 10-game winning streak get snapped the night before in an extra time loss to Minnesota. So it was a little more difficult for the Canadiens on Saturday, but we'll get to the road trip in a second. The question, Simon, for today is just the Matheson extension. I know we were texting back and forth on Friday when it went down. I'm just curious if you had to give it a grade and explain, show your work. What grade would you give the Matheson extension? $6 million a year for 5 years.
What do you got to do this show to work for? That's always like back in the day, I would just lean over, hopefully sit next to somebody very intelligent and not have to show my work.
Yeah. Same.
So, what do you want me to do? You want a letter? Or you want to? Let's do a number.
Whatever you want.
I'm big on this. I think I'm massive on this. I think I don't want to give out a 10 because then there shouldn't be a perfect deal or anything like that.
Right.
The perfect deal would probably be Mike Matheson at $3 million a year, but it's not. I love it. I honestly love it. I think it fits perfectly. I think in a couple of years from now, when the salary cap goes up, some people you listen to the people who didn't love the deal. They're concerned about year 4 and year 5. I'm like, year 1, 2, 3 is what matters. I don't think he'll ever lose that ability to skate well. The comparable I used was Andrei Markov, played almost 1,000 games with 3 major knee surgeries, I think. Never won a foot race in his entire tenure with the Canadiens. Here's Mike Matheson, who's in phenomenal shape, an excellent skater. And as this contract goes forward, it's probably going to be Noah Dobson and Lane Hutson leading the way because,
right.
Kent Hughes has told us that. Just look at the money that they're making in their contracts the next couple of years. He can skate. If something were to happen to one of the other blue liners and he has to man minutes on a power play, a couple of years ago, he was very efficient on that. And Joe, we spent a lot of time, maybe too much time, watching players not want to sign here. Players want to move on. Or if you wanted me to stay, you got to overpay. For the first time in 25, 30 years, guys want to jump aboard. They like what Kent Hughes is doing. They like what Martin St. Louis is doing. They want to be on a team with Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and Lane Hutson and everybody else, whatever you think the young core. So I think this was a win right across the board. $6 million in 3, 4, 5 years from now is going to be what we're paying probably number 4, number 5 defenseman. It's what you're going to be paying third line players. So this guy, to me, will always have the ability to play over 20 minutes. So I absolutely love the deal.
Did you give a grade?
9. 90.
9. 90%. I didn't get too many of those. So like if you remove Jim, I didn't get too many of those. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think I'm going 9 though on this deal. I think I would be more in line with a 7.5, but I think that's really good. I mean, look, the bottom line is this: does the term bother me, worry me, concern me in any type of way? No, it doesn't. In no way does it do that. But this is a player who's going to be 32 in February, I think. So by the end of the deal, he's going to be 37. It doesn't bother me because I'm not too concerned about what years, 36, 37. He might fall off a cliff. I have no idea. But I think the money is good. I think the money is great, actually. I think it's a really, really nice deal. And just, from a term standpoint, I think he could have got more. Like, I honestly think if he goes to market, I think he gets more money and more terms. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with the camera.
Yeah.
Bear with me. But I think he gets more everywhere. So I think this is, to your point, I think for the first time in a while, people or players, agents, they clearly believe in the vision, especially the people that are still here. And they clearly believe in the vision. And there's no doubt in my mind, I think if he goes to market, Simon, there's no doubt in my mind, I think he can probably go get himself 7 years, at least 49 plus million. Like, I really think it's 7 by 7 or maybe even 7.5, because and it might even be more than that, Simon, because on July 1st that those deals, I mean, especially the last few years, there's some bad business that's done on July 1st. So maybe somebody looking for a top 4 defenseman, a guy who can play. He's been playing 28, 29 minutes a night. Maybe they go out there and they think to themselves, like, hey, if I give him 7 years, even if the first 4 or 5 are good only, it'll be somebody else's problem in the back half of the deal anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he went and got a 7-year, $50+ million deal on July 1st. So the fact that the Canadiens got it done for less, but you know what? I think 7.5 is maybe even low. I'll go with a solid 8. I think it's just the player's age that makes this a deal where you're like, all right, it could have been better. But I think from a money standpoint, it's perfect. $3 million is unrealistic. I know you were kidding around, but $3 million is unrealistic.
Yeah, sure.
For this player, $6 million, I think is totally worth it. And I've been doing the exercise in my head over the last few weeks. I was like, all right, what's a number that's not going to make me, be outraged at this, And I think I got to like 7 million. I'm like, if they give him 7 million a year, I'm fine with this, So they end up giving him 6. He's clearly took the hometown discount to stay home, clearly likes it here. And he's still very much a big part of the team. He's not going to go and get those 60-point seasons like he did a couple of years ago, Simon, but he's not going to be power play 1 either, but he's clearly happy with the role. He's playing a ton.
Yep. And you look at it from I think if you're a head coach or a front office, you have your 1, 2, 3, 4 set on the blue line for the next 4, 5, 6. His contract is the smallest contract, and maybe Gouli as well. But you're set for the next 4 or 5 years. And then at number 5, number 6, is it Reinbacher? Is it Engstrom? Is it Engstrom and Reinbacher part of a deal to address another need? Struble, Jackeye, you trade July 1st. You just have to fill that void on 5 and 6. And I also think that if Kaiden Guhle can stay healthy and be part of the mix here, it's a really nice 4. Lane Hudson is very unique. Mike Matheson, Noah Dobson can skate. They're quality players. Kaiden Guhle brings in that level of physicality that they need in and around the ice. So I think if you're a front office and you can check, your top 2 pairings on the blue line, you have your first line center, Cole Caulfield, Demidov, Slav. You got 3 of your 4 top flight wingers there in your first 2 lines. You're starting to check off a lot of boxes. So I really like that.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, the Guhle Reinbacher thing is health, right? Like, after Sunday night, I had seen, it's funny, like, because I don't have the opportunity to watch the Laval Rocket night in, night out. I'll follow what's going on, and I'll get to see them once a week, once every 10 days, or whenever they're on TV. But from the way people on X were talking, like, I thought Reinbacher was a colossal disaster the way he'd been playing. And then I watched a little bit on Sunday, and I saw he had an assist on the Mark Del Gaizo goal. And he's got 9 points in 12 games, and he's got points in 5 straight. Like, he's clearly playing better. He's clearly, he's finding the score sheet at least. And just overall, he looks better. But we know, like, with Reinbacher, anyways, I'm not going to go off on a Reinbacher tangent here. But, it's never going to be the sexiest Simon. It's going to be gap control. It's going to be smart, heady plays. It's going to be moving the puck. It's going to be skating well. That's what it'll be. But there's the health thing. There's the health thing with 2 of those guys. With Guhle as well. Like, I love Kaiden Guhle. I think Kaiden Guhle should be part of this blue line for the next 7, 8, 9, 10 years. But it's going to, at some point, he's going to have to stay healthy for an extended period of time, and he's going to have to play. I know that style of defenseman doesn't always play 82 games, but he's going to have to play 75-plus games at some point. And if they get those 2 guys healthy, it's a big if. But if they get those 2 guys healthy, I love 1 through 6. I love 1 through 6. I love what they have on the blue line. I think they're a little. I think right now, in the here and now, for a team that's competing for a playoff spot, I think they might be a guy short Like you can see, like an injury to Struble, an injury to Gouli. In fairness, they're down two of their top seven guys, but they're a little thin. Like they're a little thin. So and the prospect pool, all the heavy hitters on defense have come up. Gouli was a first round pick, came up. Lane Hudson was a top prospect in the organization, came up. Mayu got traded, exactly right. So, I think they're a little light on defense from a prospect standpoint. Plus, you traded away 2 first-round picks in this last draft to get Noah Dobson. So, I think that maybe a depth piece is something that they might need to add here over the next little while. I think you maybe need a 5-6 at some point. But, I mean, I like the way that this blue line is shaping up. And with Mike Matheson here, even if he does slow down a bit, I think he's a really smart player, Simon. Even if he does lose a step, I think that he's fine because mentally – he can go there. Now, look, I know there's some people that have messaged me and said like, oh yeah, nobody thought that Jeff Petrie was going to fall off a cliff when he signed his extension. And the last year in Montreal was a little bit difficult for Jeff Petrie, but they were coming off a Stanley Cup run. And remember the bloodshot eyes.
But not only that, Jeff Petrie's final year, you heard, was not a good year. All the previous years were good. Yeah. And what happened to Jeff Petrie in his final year? Traded him.
Yeah.
It wasn't a contract that you couldn't get yourself out of. It wasn't a contract that you had to strap, 2 first-round picks to it or a prospect just to get it off your books. It was a very feasible contract, and it was a very contract to move off of. And I think, and you hope not, but if this contract were to go sour in year 4 and year 5, right. I don't think it's a very difficult contract to get out of. I like to think of that. I know, I started off by saying I don't want to stop being critical of year 4, number 5. I'm not saying that. I'm saying look at a deal perspective, worry about year 1, 2, and 3. And then if it goes sour in year 4 and 5, what happens? Well, if you have a $7.5, $8 million contract strapped to it, there's an issue. When you have a $6 million contract, there is no issue to get out of from under that contract.
Right. Yeah. So to me, I think it's a solid 8. I know you have 9. I can't get to 9. I think 9 is, if he's a couple of years younger. Yeah. But literally just because of his age, that's the only reason I would go with an 8 and I wouldn't go higher. And there's no guarantee that his play will fall off. I don't think he'll be playing 29 minutes at 36, 37 years old. But even if he's a serviceable NHL defenseman with where the cap's going, even starting next year, Simon, $6 million a year player is a 4, maybe even 5-6, like you said before. So it's really not a big deal. If I keep talking, I'm going to get myself to like an 8.5, 9. So I'm going to keep it at an 8. It's a really, really good deal, and there's no doubt in my mind that he would have gone to market and he would have been able to cash in way, way more. We've seen worse players break the bank on July 1st in the last couple of years than Mike Matheson.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
So you see what I know they're forwards, but you see what older guys like Marchessault and Stamkos got, and somebody's giving this guy term. Somebody's giving the guy term, and somebody's giving the guy dollars. What'd you make of the trip? Because I honestly thought it was a success. You went out there and you got yourself 4 points on this trip. I have no issue with what the Canadiens did on this trip. Colorado was always going to be tough. Colorado coming off a loss en plus.
Yeah. Well, I thought the Habs are in great shape going into the Colorado game. I'm like, they lost in Minnesota, but they got a point. They got to go from Minnesota to home. They got to travel that day. Habs had to travel, but it was a much shorter flight from Vegas to Colorado. So I'm like, if you're going to try to, get the better of the Avalanche, Saturday afternoon matchup after they play the night before it's the perfect game for the Habs. It's going to work out perfectly. I'll say this, Joey, the scoreline was what the scoreline was. I thought the first 10, 15 minutes of that game, the Colorado Avalanche got the saves that they needed and they kept that game. And then eventually that cream rises, to the top. So it was a pretty impressive performance by them. But I did think for the first 10, 12 minutes of that game could have swung to a 1-0, 2-0 Habs game, completely different game at that point. And look, the best thing that happened on this road trip is, Dobish got lit up on a Saturday. That's fine. Sam Montembeault looked like a quality goaltender again that you could trust. I believe they play Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they play every Saturday and Sunday in the month of December. So it's both guys. You're going to get both guys every 2 weeks. And it was good to see at least you got Sam playing a high level of hockey in one game. You hope he carries that into Tuesday or Wednesday. Got to get Dobish going a little bit here. Got to get that power play going there a little bit. So some good signs, but specifically Sam Montembeault. You needed a night where the goalie can I'm not going to say steal the game, but
He played really well.
It didn't want to be a topic on this podcast. Didn't want to be a topic in any one of the post-game shows.
He heard you, Tsalikis. He heard that you were at a 9 on 10 last week or 2 weeks, whenever that was. That you said you were 9 on 10 worried about Montembeault.
I was right. I'm going to tell you, Sam Montembeault was worried about his game as well. So a great bounce back from the goaltending from at least Sam Montembeault, which I thought was, and even Dobish. Forget yesterday. I forget the Saturday. They got lit up. Quality hockey team. Whatever. Dobish was very good in the Mammoth game, specifically in that second half of the game, second part of the second and the third. I thought he was very good. So you had 3 games, you had 1 loss, but in the 2 wins, your goaltenders played really well. So I think that's a great positive going forward.
Yeah, and I know it got ugly in the second period of the Mammoth game, but everything was kind of breaking. It broke down around them. Like they took a puck over glass penalty, and actually the Vejmelka on the other side made a really big save. Was that a save on Caulfield? It was like on an odd man rush. Anyways, he made a big save, and then they went the other way. The puck ended up going over the glass a couple minutes later, and then they scored. The Utah scores, and then things fell apart. It wasn't really a Dobesh thing. The one thing I'll say is I don't know about Slavkovsky in the Utah game, but I thought the assist that he had, the backhanded pass along the boards there to was that Bolzuk on the goal on Friday, and then the one he had to Demidov was a great move there, coming down the left side. So that was really encouraging to me. I know we've talked about Slavkovsky versus Cooley and all that stuff, and just we're looking for consistency from this kid. And to me, I think the arrow's pointing in the right direction, even though the point totals aren't necessarily where I would hope that they would be at this point. But I wanted to say, just for those 2 plays in particular, Slavkovsky's distribution on those 2 goals was phenomenal. It was great.
Yeah, I'm very impressed, Joey. Very impressed because didn't know how the young man was going to act coming off that top line, going on a line with Kapanen and Demidov. You thought, okay, give him about 1 week, 2-3 weeks to adjust to playing with completely different guys, and going from being the third wheel on that top line to being the top guy on that second line, like just doing a lot of work. I think this is going to do great for his confidence. I think it's very good for Martin St. Louis because he can bounce him back up. He can move Caulfield down. He can move Demidov up. So just watching I think if you're a coach and you watch one of your players on one line, we're not going to say demoted, but just gets bounced to another line.
Yeah, it was to spread the wealth. It was
it wasn't a demotion. It was more to get some production out of that second line. And wow, I'm very impressed the way he's been a little bit more. I'm not going to say playmaking skills or anything like that, but it seems like when he's with Kapanen and Demidov, he's carrying the puck a little bit more. He's trying to distribute a little bit more, where when he was on that top line, it was clear I'm the third best player on this line. I'm just going to go fish pucks out of the corner, go hang out the blue ice. I'm not going to get in their way. And that's fine. That's a role that, there's a lot of, on every team's top line, there's a guy that is the least talented or the least offensive player on that top line, and he diverts to his running mates. So the fact that he did that and bounced back to that line and still looked good and took on more of a role, I'm very impressed with that. Very impressed.
Tsalikis, you're a 10 on 10. Your contract on the Sports Dep is a 10 on 10 for me.
What about the money? The money.
It's a 10 on 10. You're an outstanding bargain. A bargain.
7 million here, 6 million.
I think that's what you're paying us to be on the show. That's what my agent told me.
Love it.
Tsalikis, we'll see you in studio tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe on the YouTube channel. You can subscribe on the audio files as well. You can go Apple Podcasts. You can go Spotify. Just give us a follow and let us know what you think of Tsalikis' glasses, because I'm still getting used to them. I think they're really nice, but I'm still getting used to them. So to me, those are a solid 8 out of 10. They're like the Matheson contract. They have a chance to go up. I'll see you in studio tomorrow, bud.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, Simon.